Legends of the Night Sky. Long ago, the night sky was dark and frightening, with not a glimmer of light. For humankind, darkness meant lurking dangers and a realm for spirits and monsters. But when the stars first appeared, the sky seemed to awaken. The gentle glow of the stars not only drove away the darkness but brought peace and hope to people everywhere. From a young age, Princess Stella was enchanted by the night sky. The stars, in her eyes, weren't just beautiful but held a mysterious allure, inviting her to distant lands. Each night, she stood by her window, gazing at the stars, dreaming that one day she might touch those shining dots. It was a simple yet powerful wish that grew with her over the years. Life in the palace was peaceful until the queen, Stella's beloved mother, fell ill. Her illness was serious, and it only seemed to worsen with each passing day. At first, Stella didn't believe her mother's condition was so grave. She thought her mother would quickly recover, just as she always did, and return to her warm, gentle ways. But as days went by, her mother's body grew frailer, her voice weaker, and each time they met, all the queen could offer was a faint, reassuring smile. Stella felt anxiety rise in her heart, and fear began to creep into her dreams. She realized that she had been so lost in her youthful dreams that she had failed to notice the burdens her mother carried. In Stella's grief, a dark fairy appeared before her, offering to cure the queen's illness in exchange for something precious. Stella would have to pluck 7 of the closest stars from the sky. Stella hesitated, but the fairy's words painted a picture of hope, telling her of how the stars held powers to heal all ailments. Stella's desire to save her mother overshadowed all doubts, and in the end, she agreed. The dark fairy's smile grew colder, but Stella didn't notice. In her eyes, the fairy was her only chance. Stella stepped into the cloud garden, where the stars shone on towering celestial trees. Each star glimmered with a unique beauty, like a rare jewel. As she picked each one, she felt joy and satisfaction in doing something so meaningful for her mother. But along with the excitement, an unseen fear began to grow. The night sky became darker with every star she plucked, leaving a sense of emptiness behind. Stella wondered if she was doing the right thing, but her love for her mother drove her to push forward. After Stella gathered the 7th star, the dark fairy returned. But there was something sinister in her gaze this time. Her mysterious smile and mocking tone sent a chill through Stella's heart. The fairy revealed that Stella had been deceived. The stars she plucked were not mere points of light but sources of life for distant worlds, home to millions of beings. Shocked, Stella realized she had unknowingly aided a wicked scheme. She felt overwhelming guilt, but it was too late to turn back. Torn between saving her mother and returning the stars to the sky, Stella felt as though she was caught in an impossible storm. She loved her mother more than anything, but to keep the stars would make her selfish and cruel, no better than the dark fairy. She thought of the countless lives that had vanished because of her actions. Could her love for her mother justify taking the light away from an entire universe? In that moment, her mother's gentle voice echoed in her mind, like a comforting reminder. My dear, I taught you to love not only me but everyone. Live in a way that honors that. Stella looked down, tears streaming down her cheeks. She knew her mother would never want the world to suffer just for her sake. Finally, Stella decided to return the stars to the sky. A choice that broke her heart but also brought her peace. She looked up, watching the stars find their places again, shining as if they had never left. Their light illuminated the darkness, erasing the guilt Stella carried. In that moment, she knew she had done the right thing. After that heartbreaking event, Stella lived with a deep gratitude for the stars. She felt she had learned a precious lesson about sacrifice and responsibility. One day, her dear friend Lumin, a small, bright star, revealed a big dream, to descend from the heavens and grant wishes to the people below. Lumin was a tiny yet mischievous star, full of energy and kindness. Hearing Lumin's wish, Stella hesitated. She knew that every star that granted a wish would disappear forever, and she wondered if the price was too high. But seeing Lumin's determination, Stella's heart softened. She didn't want to stand in the way of her friend's dream, knowing that a star that wanted to shine in its own way could never truly be held back. Together, Stella and Lumin began their adventure to the human world. Upon arrival, they encountered a poor king living in a crumbling castle who longed for power to change his fate. Filled with compassion, Lumin decided to grant the king's wish. But with newfound power, the king became greedy and waged war, spreading pain and suffering. Stella's heart ached as she saw how Lumin's good intentions had led to disaster. She wondered if some wishes were never meant to come true and realized that helping others requires both kindness and wisdom. Seeing the tragic consequences of Lumin's wish, Stella felt as if she were once again standing at a crossroads. She didn't want Lumin to be hurt, but she also couldn't bear for the stars to suffer because of people's selfish desires. Her heart weighed heavy as she thought of the stars that had vanished due to misguided wishes. After much reflection, Stella decided to seek help from the moon goddess. The moon goddess understood Stella's worries and offered her a solution: to create a special garden that would protect the stars from those who wished to misuse them. But to complete the garden, Stella would need to collect 3 precious tears: the tear of repentance, the tear of love, and the tear of loneliness. Stella agreed, hoping this was her only chance to safeguard her friend and the stars. Stella began her quest for the 3 sacred tears by traveling to a desolate cemetery. The air was cold, thick with the silence and grief of those who had perished. In the distance, she noticed a figure hunched beside a grave, dressed in colors that had long faded under time's weight. It was a clown, a performer once known for spreading joy, but now lost in sorrow and regret. As Stella approached, she could see the deep lines of pain etched onto his face. Once painted with laughter, his shoulders shook with silent sobs, and he held a small flower, placing it gently on a grave. Stella learned that he was grieving for those lost in the wars waged by a greedy king. He had once danced and sung to bring smiles to the people, but war had taken away his audience, leaving only a trail of sorrow and shattered lives. Stella felt the weight of his sadness and knew this was the tear she had come to find. She knelt beside him, feeling his sorrow resonate within her heart. "You brought joy to so many," she said softly, "but joy was stolen from you in return." The clown looked up, his eyes filled with sorrow and a trace of gratitude. With a final, trembling tear. He released his sadness. And as it fell, Stella captured it. It transformed into a radiant gemstone in her hands, sparkling with the depth of his sorrow. Silently, she vowed to herself to protect others from suffering the way he had. She knew this tear was the first step toward creating a sanctuary for the stars. With the first tear safely kept, Stella traveled further, seeking the second tear, a tear of true love. Her journey took her to a quiet, misty valley, where a lone figure stood by a riverbank, looking out over the water with a heart filled with grief. It was a young man, and even from a distance, Stella could feel the aching love and sadness that enveloped him like a shroud. As she approached, Stella learned that he had lost the love of his life. She had passed away, leaving him in a world that now felt colorless and hollow. His love was pure and undying, but it was tinged with the sharp sorrow of a life cut short. Seeing his devotion, Stella's heart softened. She wished to ease his pain, even if only briefly. Using her powers, she gently brought forth the spirit of his beloved for one final moment. They looked into each other's eyes, and he held her hand as if afraid she would vanish like a dream. They embraced, their love radiant and bittersweet, a testament to the power of a bond that went beyond life itself. Tears streamed down the young man's face, and Stella reached out to catch one. This tear, born from love and longing, turned into a beautiful, warm gemstone in her hand. It was filled with the power of a love that transcended loss. Stella thanked the young man, and with a heavy heart, continued on her journey, the tear of love safe in her grasp. The third tear led Stella to an ancient palace, deep within a forgotten land. She entered a room overflowing with treasures, gold, jewels, and artifacts collected over years of power and conquest. Sitting in the middle of the room, surrounded by wealth but utterly alone, was an elderly king. Despite his riches, his face was etched with lines of sorrow and loneliness. As Stella approached, she could feel the emptiness that consumed him. The king had once ruled over many lands, and his friends had once surrounded him. But his thirst for power had driven them away, leaving him with nothing but cold riches and hollow memories. He looked up, his eyes meeting Stella's. She could see the despair of someone who had lost everything that truly mattered. "I have all the riches in the world," he whispered, "but none of it fills this emptiness inside. My friends, my companions, they are all gone. And I have no one left." Stella reached out, her touch gentle and understanding. In that moment, the king's grief swelled, and he shed a single tear, a tear of solitude, of regret for choices that could not be undone. Stella caught the tear, feeling the weight of his loneliness transform into a brilliant gemstone, cold yet strikingly beautiful. She understood now that even in wealth and power, there could be a void that nothing material could fill. With a soft farewell, Stella left the king to his thoughts, holding the final tear close to her heart, knowing that it would soon serve a greater purpose. With all three tears in her possession, Stella returned to the moon goddess, her heart both heavy and hopeful. She presented the tears to the goddess, the tear of sorrow, the tear of love, and the tear of solitude. Each gemstone shone with its unique radiance, a reflection of the emotions that had birthed it. The moon goddess took the 3 tears and, using her divine powers, combined them to create the shooting star garden, a sanctuary nestled among the clouds, filled with soft, glowing light. It was a garden unlike any other, a place where the stars could rest and be safe from those who might wish to use them for selfish purposes. Each tier infused the garden with protection, love, and tranquility. Stella stood in awe, watching the garden take shape, a place of peace and beauty where stars could shine without fear. She felt a sense of accomplishment but also a lingering sadness. She knew that to protect what she cherished, she had to let go. She couldn't hold on to the stars forever, but she could keep them safe from afar. As the stars settled into their new sanctuary, Stella whispered a quiet goodbye, feeling a mixture of relief and sorrow. She knew she had done what was right, and she hoped that one day, others would look up at the stars and feel the peace she had fought so hard to give them. Here's the continuation of Legends of the Night Sky with the final chapters added. As a gesture of gratitude for Stella's courage and sacrifice in creating the shooting star garden, the stars gathered together to grant her a magical gift. One evening, as Stella sat in the sanctuary gazing at the stars, they began to shimmer and descend around her. Their soft, radiant light enveloped her, filling her heart with warmth. The stars then presented Stella with a small vial containing a shimmering, magical elixir. "This is the elixir of life," they explained. "With this, your mother can be healed and live without pain. We wish to give you this gift as a symbol of our gratitude and respect." Tears welled up in Stella's eyes as she accepted the vial. Her heart, heavy with a mixture of relief and joy, filled with gratitude for the stars she had so selflessly protected. She thanked them with all her heart, knowing that she had been given the chance to save her beloved mother without sacrificing others' happiness. Stella returned to the palace with the precious vial in hand. She rushed to her mother's bedside and gently administered the elixir. Slowly, the queen's eyes opened, and a warm glow returned to her face. Her strength began to return, and she smiled at Stella with the same gentle warmth Stella had missed so deeply. "Stella," her mother whispered, "you've done something remarkable, haven't you? I can see the wisdom in your eyes, the compassion you carry." Stella nodded, tears streaming down her cheeks, knowing she had not only saved her mother but had also grown in ways she could never have imagined. The queen soon recovered fully, and news of her miraculous healing spread throughout the kingdom. The people marveled at Princess Stella's bravery and kindness, and they came to see her as a symbol of hope, love, and wisdom. In the years that followed, Stella continued to visit the shooting star garden, maintaining a close connection to the stars and the moon goddess. She had learned profound lessons from her journey about sacrifice, love, and the responsibility that came with power. She knew that the stars were safe, but she also recognized that her work was far from finished. The memory of her encounter with the dark fairy and the king's loneliness remained with her, reminding her that even those with good intentions could make grave mistakes. One day, as Stella walked through the celestial garden, the moon goddess appeared before her once more. "Stella," she said, "you have proven your wisdom and compassion. You are no longer just a princess but a protector of those who need guidance. a bridge between the heavens and earth. The moon goddess's words stayed with Stella, who began to realize that her destiny was to carry forward this wisdom and compassion, not just as a protector of the stars, but as a leader for her people. Back in her kingdom, the queen grew older, and the responsibilities of ruling weighed more heavily upon her. Seeing the maturity and grace her daughter had gained, she made the decision to step down and pass the crown to Stella. The people rejoiced, for they knew that their new queen would rule with a heart that understood not only the joys of power but also the sacrifices it required. On the day of her coronation, Stella wore a gown woven with starlight, a gift from the stars she had protected. As she stood before her people, she felt the weight of the crown on her head and the solemnity of her new role. The stars twinkled above, a reminder of her connection to the universe and the promise she had made to protect both the earth and the heavens. With a calm and steady voice, Queen Stella addressed her kingdom. Today, I pledge to rule with kindness, wisdom, and justice. I have learned that true power lies not in what we can take, but in what we can give. May our kingdom shine as brightly as the stars, a beacon of peace and compassion for all. The people cheered, and the stars above seemed to glow even brighter, as if blessing their new queen. In that moment, Stella felt the profound peace of knowing she had found her true purpose. As the years passed, Queen Stella continued to rule with a wisdom that surpassed her years. She often visited the shooting star garden, where she would sit among the stars, drawing strength and serenity from their light. She became known not only as a wise queen but as a bridge between realms, a guardian of dreams, and a protector of wishes. Legends of Queen Stella spread far and wide, and to this day, people tell tales of the queen who once plucked stars from the sky but returned them, a selfless act that saved both her mother and the countless lives tied to those stars. They say that if you look up at the night sky and make a wish, Queen Stella's spirit will carry it to the stars, guarding your dreams as she once guarded theirs. And thus, the legacy of Stella, the Queen of Stars, lived on, her heart forever intertwined with the heavens.